What if the rust destroying your car has nothing to do with age, and everything to do with what you don't do every weekend? In this video, I'll reveal 10 little habits that quietly decide whether your vehicle stays solid or turns to dust. The last one on the list? It's the simplest step, yet it saves people thousands every winter. You're one missed wash away from joining the Rust Repair Club. Number 1, use fluid film or wool wax. A lot of drivers think one coat of budget undercoating seals their car forever. But that thick, asphalt-based layer dries hard, cracks over time, and traps salt deep inside. The corrosion starts small, spreading quietly where you can't see it until flakes start falling off months later. Fluid film and wool wax work differently. They stay soft and pliable, creeping into seams, spot welds, and bolt heads where salt and oxygen love to hide. Unlike synthetic coatings that seal the surface but can't self-heal, these lanolin-based sprays repel moisture while remaining flexible through heat and winter chill. That's why coastal fleets and snowplow operators trust them over anything else. For about $15, you can coat your entire undercarriage and double its lifespan. It's the cheapest line item in your rust budget, and the first habit that separates protectors from victims. Number 2, rinse your undercarriage every 2 weeks in winter. Washing your car's paint might make it look clean, but the real grime hides underneath. During winter, road salt and de-icer powder mix with moisture, coating your undercarriage in a thin film of brine. That salty water acts like an electrolyte, turning the metal frame into a slow-moving battery that corrodes itself day by day. Steel reacts to this charge, breaking down its protective layers until rust creeps through the structure. A simple $10 high-pressure rinse or a quick blast from a hose every 2 weeks during winter stops that process cold. It clears away the salt before it can solidify into scale rust and start eating the frame. This tiny habit keeps your rust budget in check, trading a few minutes of maintenance for thousands saved in structural repairs, and keeping your car's foundation strong all year. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Number 3, touch up rock chips immediately. That tiny nick on the hood might look harmless, but it's actually the doorway for corrosion to start. Once bare metal is exposed, oxygen and moisture join forces and kick off the oxidation process within hours. The steel begins to corrode under the surrounding paint, lifting and bubbling it from underneath. Ignoring that spot can turn a $10 touch-up job into a $300 panel repair, or worse, full repainting later on. A small dab of primer and matching paint seals the wound, cutting off air and water access before the rust spreads. It doesn't require a garage or special tools, only quick attention. For the cost of lunch, you're not just fixing a blemish, you're protecting the body's structure, keeping resale value up, and mastering one of the cheapest, most effective habits in any do-it-yourself rust defense plan. Number 4, apply a rust converter before painting. Many owners sand away the orange spots and spray fresh paint, thinking they've solved rust for good. The problem is that leftover oxidation sits alive underneath, sealed in with trapped moisture. In a few months, the same rust resurfaces through the new paint. Rust converters stop this cycle by turning active rust into a stable compound. Using tannic acid, they chemically react with iron oxide, forming iron tannate, a solid base that resists further corrosion. When one panel gets painted directly and another receives a rust converter first, the treated side stays clean for years, while the other quickly discolors again. This process forms its own primer, bonding tightly and preventing moisture return. That single chemical step eliminates the need for repeated repainting, proving that prevention through conversion costs far less than repairing panels weakened by hidden oxidation. Number 5, wax hidden areas. Most people wax the parts they can see, the hood, roof, and doors, while the real rust begins where no one looks. Seams, frames, and door jambs collect fine dust and salt that stay damp long after a wash. These tight spots rarely dry fully, allowing corrosion to form under paint and undercoating. Wax fixes that by creating a slick, hydrophobic barrier that moisture can't cling to, even in tiny scratches. Professional detailers routinely coat hidden edges, like the inner lips of wheel arches and the lower rocker seams, keeping those vulnerable panels dry through rain and snow. Spending a few extra minutes extending wax into those areas adds silent, year-round protection. It's a small step in the Path A maintenance approach, layering long-term defense where corrosion usually gets its first foothold. Number 6. Avoid parking on grass or dirt. Leaving a car on grass for a weekend might seem harmless, but that patch of ground becomes a moisture factory overnight. As the soil cools, water vapor rises and condenses on the chilled metal beneath your car. The result is a damp layer that clings to the undercarriage for hours, feeding corrosion before the morning sun ever hits it. Even in dry climates, underground moisture pushes upward, creating the same humidity trap that silently eats into frames and suspension parts. Classic car owners often discover their biggest rust damage didn't come from rain. It came from months of grass parking at a show or a storage field. Simply moving the car onto pavement, gravel, or even heavy-duty floor mats shuts down that process completely. It costs nothing, yet it removes one of rust's most persistent hiding spots and extends your car's life by years. Number 7. Use silicone spray on brake and fuel lines. Most car owners rarely think about the thin metal lines running beneath their vehicle, carrying brake fluid and fuel. These lines take constant abuse from road salt, gravel, and pressurized water, yet they're usually unprotected from corrosion. Over time, salt crust forms around the clips and joints, holding moisture against bare steel and eating through it quietly. A simple silicone spray creates a transparent, water-repelling film that shields these lines without harming nearby rubber components. It's safe for seals and housings, so it won't cause swelling or cracking the way some petroleum sprays can. Applying a light coat once a month in winter stops salt buildup before it starts. That $10 can of silicone isn't flashy, but it can prevent a brake or fuel line failure that costs thousands to replace, keeping your most critical systems reliably intact. Number 8. Install plastic inner fender liners. If you've ever brushed your hand along the inside of a wheel well and felt bare metal, you've touched where rust usually begins. Many older cars rolled out of the factory with those areas wide open to grit, salt, and water. Within months, oxidation can take hold, especially in climates where road salt accelerates the process. Plastic inner fender liners, often made from polypropylene or ABS, act like armor in that space. They block direct impact from debris and keep salt spray from clinging to the metal. Automotive restorers regularly retrofit these liners into vintage models specifically to stop recurring fender rot. Installing them is straightforward, a weekend project that closes off one of rust's favorite entry points. It's not cosmetic. It's an engineering fix that prevents corrosion before it starts and eliminates future repair headaches before they can even form. Number 9. Don't ignore drain holes. Every car door and rocker panel hides small openings designed to let rainwater drain out. When these drain holes clog with dirt or sand, water becomes trapped inside the panels, and that sealed moisture turns the metal cavity into a quiet rust incubator. Over weeks and months, the buildup corrodes unseen surfaces, spreading inward long before paint shows any damage. Maintenance is simple. Run a pipe cleaner or burst of compressed air through those holes to clear away debris. Mechanics often find cups of water sloshing inside doors during rust repairs, proof that blocked drains add hidden weight and corrosion. By keeping those outlets clear, water escapes instead of soaking into steel. This 5-minute habit prevents entire panels from decaying from the inside out and stands as one of the most overlooked yet powerful defenses against rust. Number 10. Do a yearly DIY rust inspection. Most people never glance under their car until a mechanic points out rust during inspection. By that time, damage has usually gone beyond surface level, eating through coatings and even structural metal. Doing a basic yearly check stops that progression before it gets expensive. All you need is a flashlight and a small mirror. Look along frame rails, suspension mounts, rocker panels, and inside wheel wells. Early rust appears as light orange powder or subtle bubbling in paint, signs that can be brushed away and treated with a rust converter in minutes. That single hour each year can save thousands later in welding and body repairs. Consistent DIY checks keep your yearly rust maintenance well under $100 instead of facing multi-thousand-dollar restoration bills once corrosion takes root where you can't see it. Rust prevention isn't glamorous, but it's the difference between a car that lasts 15 years and one that collapses at 5. Those small routines, rinsing, spraying, inspecting, aren't chores. They're investments that outsmart corrosion before it costs you thousands. A yearly DIY plan costs less than a tank of gas, yet protects every dollar in your vehicle's value. The rust budget is simple. Spend a little now or pay a fortune later. Start with one weekend task, maybe a fluid film coat or a quick undercarriage wash. And you're already on Path A, the prevention path that keeps metal and money intact.